Hey guys, welcome. Okay, we're keeping it light again since it's December. You got your plates full, I'm sure. So let's just keep things light. I want to tell you that if you are listening to this in the car with children, this may not be suitable for their listening pleasure. I would think you don't listen to my podcast with your kids around because I cannot control the F bombs. I try, and they just slip out. I had an interview with NPR and I let a couple fly. They didn't use that content, but I thought it was funny. I was like, James, rail it in. It's NPR. But anyway, so that is on NPR anyway, if you want to listen to it. Okay, so I want to talk about Santa. And I get a lot of questions about Santa and what I did and what you should do. And I don't know what you should do. So you should do what is in your heart. I love Santa. I love the notion of Santa. I loved Santa growing up. I was in fourth grade when my mom had to sit me down because she didn't want me to be embarrassed. I loved, and even then I wrote letters for another 2 years, just so you know, cover my bases. And to this day, I believe in Santa. I love Miracle on 34th Street. I maintain that Santa is the gift-giving magic of Christmas. It's the Christmas spirit. I'm on board. I am also on board with the fictional character. I know a lot of people aren't. And I know a lot of people online are very sanctimonious about that choice because they're never lying to their children, which is bullshit because you're going to lie to your kids at some point in time. I get it, though. It's an ongoing lie. It's a ruse that has to be kept up. So I understand the reason not to. I will say that if you still harbor resentment against your parents for lying to you about Santa, I would like just get a couple of sessions with a therapist. Honestly, I do. I hear about grown-ups who are still angry about it. And your parents trying to provide you with some like joy and magic is not the worst part of childhood. so anyway, and plenty of people, because of religious reasons or whatever, that just don't do Santa. So Santa isn't a must. It's not you don't have to. It's a cultural norm in the US for secular Christmas. And anyway, I did Santa. I did Santa with Pascal. And I want to tell the story of how he learned about no Santa. And that's what a lot of people ask. When do you let kids know? So first and foremost, if your kid has access to a computer for educational reasons, they have Googled this. So your child probably already knows if they know how to spell. If they can enter it into a search bar, they have Googled it. Also, kids are just really smart these days. So I don't know. I never questioned it. I never, ever. The reindeer were magic. Of course he can come into your house. Of course they make it across the whole world. I didn't care. I didn't care. I remember Pascal and his buddy Ian came to me and they calculated the circumference of the earth and the mileage and the atmosphere and all this bullshit. And they were like, so it's really not feasible, even with magic. And I was like, just take the presents and shut up. But Ian's mom had gotten this book. I wish I knew the name of it, but it's this book. I'll try to find it for the show notes, but I might not be able to find it. But it's really about how there's some like science in it. It leaves it up in question, but it kind of defends the whole position of Santa. If you want a real treat, you can go back to the sort of origins of Santa, and it's not Saint Nicholas. It's from Amanita muscaria, which is a psychedelic mushroom. It's the typical mushroom that you see, it is red with a white stem and like white dots on it, and it's very fascinating. Let me put that in the let me make a note to put that in the show notes, because when you read about it, you're like, wait a minute, this is where all the symbolism comes from, at least for the Santa and reindeer and that kind of thing, including that reindeer. Amanita muscaria does not, if you eat it as a person, it's not like magic mushrooms. It's not like psilocybin. You really have to eat it when somebody else pees it out. And so reindeer love it. And so caribou, they love it and they eat it. And so then the reindeer pee. And so people would potentially drink that and then have a psychedelic journey. Maybe reindeer looked like they could fly. So there's a lot that's explained. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down. But let's get back to Santa. So I read something a long time ago about Santa and when it is time to tell a child. And that is when their heart opens enough to start really thinking about other people, and not in the way of like, oh, I'm excited to get grandma a present. Like, that's awesome. But like when they really get to an age, usually somewhere, roughly speaking, 7 to 10, somewhere 7 to 9, probably 10 is probably too old in today's world, but because they've definitely Googled it by then. But when they start really, really thinking like, oh, but we have to get daddy a present, but we have to get auntie a present, but we have to get my cousins a present. And so then the theory is that they start to recognize the world outside of them, and they want to expand their gift giving and their love and joy and compassion of the season. And in Waldorf is the one educational philosophy I know, but there's a lot of philosophies in which around 9 years old is when the veil is lifted, supposedly, like the veil of childhood that keeps you like self-centered, kind of focused on yourself. And then you start to recognize that there are other people, right? And I think I might have talked about this in the like gratitude episode, but yeah, this is a good time for you then to say, hey, I've noticed that your heart is really expanding, and I think you're ready to hear the bigger joy and truth about Christmas and gift giving. And to me, like, as Pascal, I am so silly. Anytime I see Santa, I'm gonna go say hi. I'm gonna go get a picture. I just love the notion. So I'm sticking by it. Interesting fact. Yes. Is it cool to like keep a crying baby on Santa's lap? No. Do I have a picture of Pascal? Yes. Do I wish I didn't? Yes. But that's what we did, right? Some things you just kind of go along with till you know better. There is, though, people who are hired as Santa, they do have to go to Santa school. And of course, the number one thing is their hands have to be seen at all times. So there are rules in place for Santas, and it's not quite as hopefully creepy as it can be. Okay, that being said, I think most people aren't doing that anymore. Anyway, who listen to me, maybe you are. Okay, so then there comes a time when your kid is going to ask you, right? And I think this comes in all various ways. Some kids really just are like hint around. Oh, it seems weird that Santa can go, our doors are locked and we don't have a chimney. Like, they start catching on to these things, right? And various people handle this different ways. I know people who never told their kids flat out because they're like, nope, if you don't believe in Santa, then you don't get any presents. So I never did that. I, though, made the personal choice. I said, listen, the day my kid like really looks me in the eye and says, I want to know the truth, I will tell him the truth. So it's my annual retelling of the story of why I saved for therapy and not college. So Pascal, to my credit, this happened in July. Okay. So it didn't happen around Christmas when I was like expecting it. So we're in the car coming home from like a hike, and I'm on the highway, and he says, Mommy, I need to ask you a big question. And I look in the rearview mirror. I'm like, all right, yeah, ask me a big question. He said, you have to tell me the truth. I was like, all right, it's July. He says, are you Santa Claus? Is Santa real? And I was like, frozen, because what the hell, it's July. And so I just looked at him, and I was, in my mind, I'm trying to go really like quickly, like, okay, I said this was the moment. This is the moment I'm going to tell him. So I looked in the rearview mirror, and we make eye contact, and I'm like, yeah, it's a big truth, buddy. Are you sure you're ready to hear the big truth? And he said, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Santa is the Christmas spirit, but yes, I am the person who buys the gifts. And he was like, I watched his face like kind of fall. And then he said, okay. And he's looking out the window, and he had the like most serious look when he was younger. And I'm like, shit. And then he goes, what about the tooth fairy? And I said, yeah, same. And they just leap to it. They know tooth fairy, Easter bunny. I never did a leprechaun or anything like that, but tooth fairy and Easter bunny. Yep, it's me. Well, then I can just see his lip quivering, his nostrils flaring, and then the tears come. And he starts crying. I pull over, I give him a hug. I'm like, buddy, nothing's changed. Like, it's the spirit. Like, we're all so happy to give gifts, and I'm trying to do the things. And he is hysterical. So I'm like, fuck. So we get home. 2 hours later, he's still crying. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't put the genie back in the bottle. I don't have time to like call my friends, see, well, what do I do? How can I handle this? And he starts saying things like, I can't, You wrecked the magic of life. What is life anymore? He's like saying, I mean, he was always a dramatic kid. So I'm just like, holy shit. And even in the back of my head, though, I'm like, okay, come on now. You didn't ruin life for this kid. So I don't know what to do. I don't know. I have no idea what to do. So I crossed my fingers behind my back because, of course, everybody knows then what comes out of your mouth doesn't count. And I say, but I was just pranking you. Pranking was like the big thing. And I, gave him a like shove on his shoulder. I was like, I was just pranking you. I was just trying to be mean. I was being mean spirited. I'm so sorry. Of course, Santa's real. Dude stops crying immediately. Completely. And he's like, that was a terrible thing to do to a child. And I was like, you shouldn't prank me like that. And I was like, you're right. I'm so sorry. I don't know. And he said, oh yeah, but what about the tooth fairy? You said that's not real. You said you have my teeth. Where are they? So a funny fact about me, let me just break this up for 1 second. I will pass out if you show me a loose tooth. If you fall and crack your head open, which literally this happened to me, I saw a stranger fall, crack their head open. I held their head together till we got to the emergency room. Blood all over me. I am the best person. Compound fracture. You want me on your team. I can handle any sort of thing. A wiggly tooth, I swear to God, I'll melt like a wet piece of noodle. So when his teeth were loose, I told him that the tooth fairy doubles down if you take your own teeth out. And so he would pull his own teeth. And so I was like, just don't even come near me with that. Like, take that somewhere else. I cannot see it. So I relied on that when he questioned me about the tooth fairy. So now I'm doubling down on the lie, you guys. I'm not just lying when I said I wouldn't lie. I am doubling down. And I say, bud, I can't even look at you take your teeth out of your mouth. What makes you think I would save your teeth? I'm telling you, I was pranking you. Totally, genie's back in the bottle. So I knew immediately that he was not quite ready to hear the big truth. But, things went on. And then I think it was, however old he was, he must have been 6. Maybe he was, because that tracks, right around 8. He had these friends, and he was, for the first time, he was like, I want to buy them this, and this, and I'll use my own money. And he had this elaborate plan to like wrap the gifts and leave them and like kind of ding dong ditch. And like, it would be a surprise for them. And it was so cute. And so I like used this as the in, right? I was like, oh, but it really seems like your heart is opening. And, this was a year too that he was really finding stuff for, remember I told you guys we would help at the soup kitchen downtown like all year round, and then on the holidays he would find things around the house for like these guys, the soup kitchen. And so it was just like this year of really opening up to like gift giving. And so I said, but I think it's time that since your heart is so open to gift giving, I think it's time that you now know the truth. And I said, Santa is me. And he looked, and he looked a little like sad. He goes, I know. I knew when you told me, Mommy, and it just wasn't ready. He said, and then I Googled it. So I was like, holy shit. So anyway, it was a great year. And I really did. I was like, man, you got to save for therapy, not college, because you just don't know the ways. You're gonna fuck it up along the way. But he never held it against me, and he was never bitter. And now it's family lore. And we, it's sticky. It's always sticky, but it's I don't know. I think maybe my joy at the holiday season and the lights and the whole notion of Santa has helped. I don't know, but that's how I handled it. I do not recommend you handle it this way. It's just really hard to tell. And I think I think the sadness isn't that Santa isn't real. I think the sadness is there's a magic to childhood, right? And the magic is you don't pay rent, you don't pay bills. And you're just like, you get to float along, and your mom's just there, and you yes, you might help with chores, but you don't have a ton of responsibilities. And I just think the Santa is a big coming of age, like that 9-year-old veil lifted. It's like, like magic, magic isn't what I thought it was. And I've crafted magic. I think moms are the magic makers for the most part, and we make things magical along the way. But it's that first like concrete thing, he ran into that. He was slightly younger. I got him for Christmas. He liked the first Harry Potter. I let him watch the first Harry Potter fairly young. And and mostly because there was like not a lot of merchandising attached to it at the time, but they did have like the costume and the wand, a light up wand. And I got him a light up wand, and he came to me pretty crestfallen and told me that his wand was broken and we had to take it back to Oliver's. Is that the wand shop? I can't remember. But he said, you have to take this back, mommy. It's broken. It doesn't, like, the spells don't work. I was like, oh, bud, that's movie magic. That's not real magic. And he was just like, what? But it wasn't as crushing as Santa. So anyway, I think it's that crack. And so however you choose to do it, I don't know. I hope that story entertained you and let you know too, like, yes, your child can be sad, and yes, your child can be saying dramatic things like you've ruined the magic of life. Nothing in the world will ever be the same, and they'll be fine. He's totally fine and well adjusted, and thus far doesn't seem to need therapy. So with that, I'm going to leave you to your own Santa devices. All right, guys, as always, I appreciate you listening. Rock on. Put down your phone. Have a beautiful day.